It's time for review part 5 of Hearthstone's next expansion, Descent of Dragons. Through last time, we covered 66 of the cards one by one, roughly in order of the cards released. However, the expansion is coming out in a couple days, and all the cards from the set have been released, so this review will cover the remaining Druid, Hunter, and Mage cards from the set. These reviews will be much quicker than the others per card. The reviews of 13 more Descent of Dragon cards are coming up.
Who's up for an adventure?
Before we get into the reviews, I'd like to note how we do card reviews on this channel. Rather than 5-star ratings for cards, we normally ask 3 questions Hearthstone players really want to know. First, does the card fit into one of the current meta decks, Tier 1 through Tier 3 decks, per HS Replay's tier list? So is it meta now? Second, will the card fit into a meta deck once the set comes out? Meaning, even if it won't slot into a current deck, is it powerful enough to make a new deck meta viable? So, is it meta later? And third, perhaps most importantly, does it inspire or enable experimental or meme decks? So is it meme deck worthy? However, as the meta has just shifted due to the loss of Tombs of Terror cards, and we're on the cusp of the new meta, we're just going to answer questions 2 and 3. So are they meta later and meme deck worthy? Each card will get a yes or no to these questions. As we're doing quicker reviews as the main event, there will not be quick reviews at the end. Let's get right into it. Here are all the Druid cards which have been announced for the set. It's nice to be able to see the entire group for each class to see how they work together. So we'll leave these up and just fade out the cards which have already been covered. The first of the cards we haven't discussed yet is Embiggen. Embiggen is a 0-mana spell to give all minions in your deck +2/+2. They cost 1 more, up to 10 mana. You would think this would go in a token deck, but most token generators are spells, which this would not affect. It'll do a lot better in a big minion ramp deck, but as Druid is already fast at ramping up, especially with cards like Breath of Dreams being released, I think this will see play in the new meta. As the craziest thing you can do with this is to make massive minions, and I think that is what the meta decks that use this will be trying to do, this doesn't get meme deck worthy status. So Embiggen will have a large impact on the new meta, but doesn't get to Embiggen meme decks. Next up is the second side quest. It's Strength in Numbers, and it requires you to spend 10 mana on minions. The reward is to summon a minion from your deck. It's not that great unless you're trying to summon a specific minion from your deck, like Malygos. You could complete this with cards like Worthy Expedition, Crystal Song, Portal, and Witchwood Apple that can generate minions you can then play, and you'd probably have enough cards to pair with Malygos when you summon him, but I'm not sure you could pull it off reliably enough to make it a meta deck. So this doesn't get to join the upcoming meta, but it will make for an interesting Malygos meme deck. So Strength in Numbers is not strong enough to join the new meta, but it will enable a number of meme games. The rest of the Druid cards for this set are centered around a Treant Druid archetype. It's an interesting choice for Blizzard to go in this direction, but it's a cool concept. And there might just be enough cards that we could possibly see Mulch Muncher in a meta deck? Maybe? Anyways, the cheapest of these Treant Synergy cards is Tree Enforcements. A 1-mana choose 1 spell to give a minion +2 health and taunt, or to summon a 2/2 Treant. Giving a minion +2 health and taunt is the same effect as the Titan Lackey, but you don't get the 1/1 body, so it doesn't really seem like it will be used this way very often. However, summoning a 2/2 Treant for 1 mana isn't bad, especially since it could set up for a Dendrologist on turn 2. That being said, Druid has a ton of super powerful cards to choose from at the moment, and I don't think this makes the cut, even if you could get both effects with the quest. So this is not meta now, but it can join our deck we'll make with Treant Synergy only cards. There are currently 21 cards with Treant Synergy, and this set will take that up to 28. So if we use the last 2 slots for a card draw or ramp card, we'll be able to make a bizarre deck that actually looks like it could win a game or 2. It'll definitely be a meme, but I'm looking forward to trying it out. Tree Enforcements doesn't get to reinforce the upcoming meta, but it will provide Treant or 2 for our memes. The next Treant Synergy card is Shrubadier, a 2-mana 1/1 with a battlecry that summons a 2/2 Treant. 3/3 in stats for 2 mana is a bit better than a River Crocolisk, but the bodies are just too weak to use in a normal token deck. And unless a Treant Synergy deck actually grows into the meta, this Bombardier will not be joining the new meta. But again, she can join our Treant-only meme deck. So Shrubadier doesn't land any hits in the upcoming meta, but she can toss some shrubs into our meme deck. Unlike the earlier two Treant cards, this next card may see quite a bit of play. Aeroponics is a 5 mana spell that draws 2 cards, but it costs 2 less for each Treant you play. At 5 mana, it's really weak, but if you have just one Treant, it's on par with Arcane Intellect, which sees play all the time. With 2 Treants, it's only 1 mana to draw 2 cards, and with 3 or more, it's completely free. This will almost certainly see play in a Token Druid deck, and it'll join our Treant Synergy meme deck. So Aeroponics drops into the future meta and memes. And the last card for Druid is Goru the Might Tree. He's a 7 mana 5/10 taunt with a battle cry that reads, for the rest of the game, your Treants have +1/+1. A 7 mana 5/10 taunt feels great, but playing this on turn 7 into Forest's Aid on turn 8 for another 15/15 in stats is amazing. And if your opponent manages to deal with that, they have to deal with the second 15/15 forest from the twin spell off the Forest's Aid. This has stall and overwhelming pressure potential bundled in one, so I definitely think a meta deck will run this. And yep, he definitely joins our Treant Synergy meme deck. Goru the Might Tree is so mighty that he'll see play everywhere. So we've actually seen all of the cards from Hunter except for one already. Many of the cards for Hunter seem to be pushing a use your hero power synergy, but we've already covered all of those cards. Now we get to review the last card, Stormhammer. Stormhammer is a 3 mana 3/2 that doesn't lose durability while you control a dragon. So if you play this on turn 3 and attack with it, as long as you always have a dragon on board before swinging again, it will last the entire game. It may be better than Eaglehorn Bow, as you can control when it has extra durability. And this is possibly the only weapon Kobold Sticky Finger is really excited to steal, as quite a few decks will be running dragons, and the player who steals it will be able to use it effectively. Will it see play? Honestly, I'm not convinced Dragon Hunter will be able to join the upcoming meta. But Varanus almost certainly will, so there's a chance it makes it into a Highlander meta deck. We'll go ahead and give this a hopeful meta later. And our Immorus Dragon Control meme deck needs this to help stay alive long enough to play Immorus. So yes, it's a meme deck enabler. So Stormhammer storms its way into the new meta and hammers away at enemies in our meme deck. Now to the Mage cards. Just as Druid has a number of Treant Synergy cards, and Hunter has a number of Hero Power Synergy cards, it looks as though Mage is ramping up the small spells and elemental synergies, though not as strongly as the other two classes. The first small spell is Arcane Breath, a 1 mana spell to deal 2 damage. If you're holding a dragon, you'll also get to discover a spell. 2 damage for 1 mana isn't bad, but it wouldn't be worth a card slot in most decks. However, if you can discover a spell on top of that, this is awesome. As Highlander mages are already running 2 dragons, and that number will probably increase in this expansion, I'd have to say this will see play. It is an upcoming meta card. As for memes, yep, our Raid the Sky Temple mage needs cards like this to make it almost competitively viable. Arcane Breath breathes spells into both categories. The next small spell is Elemental Allies, a 1 mana side quest to play an elemental 2 turns in a row. When completed, you draw 3 spells from your deck. Elemental Minion Mage is coming back with a vengeance. With 2 copies of this, Luna's Pocket Galaxy, and Book of Spectres, we can make a terrifyingly consistent Minion Mage. Will that particular deck be good enough to see play in the upcoming overpowered meta? Probably not. But with a selective draw like this targeting spells only, I think someone will figure out a brokenly powerful way to use this. So I'm pretty sure this will be joining the new meta. And if Elemental Minion Mage isn't just a meme, don't worry, this will enable some other exciting experiments as well. Elemental Allies will join the fray in the new meta, and it will ally itself with us in our meme experiments. But spells are not the only cheap things Mage is getting. They're also getting cheap minions to generate cheap spells. Violet Spellwing is a 1-mana 1/1 elemental with a death rattle to add an arcane missiles to your hand. That's just a good 1-drop. Shimmerfly sees play in Hunter, and it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. This is more consistent, provides a great follow-up, as well as a discount to the card we'll review in a moment, hanging out in the bottom right corner. This will definitely be joining meta decks, and it can certainly go in our Elemental Mage and raid the Sky Temple meme decks. Violet Spellwing will swoop into the meta and memes alike. Do you miss Meteor? Well, Rolling Fireball isn't quite that powerful, but it's still super effective. Rolling Fireball is a 5-mana spell that does 8 damage to a minion. Any excess damage continues to the left or right. If you play this on the leftmost minion, it will continue to the right, and the opposite from the rightmost minion. But if you play it on a minion in the middle, there's no way of knowing which way it will roll. It's 1 mana cheaper than Meteor and does a lot less damage, but it'll probably see just about as much play, as this is like a flexible AoE up to 8 damage. Though I am curious how it works with Divine Shields, as they can technically handle infinite damage, but only take 1 damage to remove. We'll find out soon enough. In any case, this is powerful enough to earn a slot in an upcoming meta deck for certain. But I'm not certain it gets meme deck worthy status. Yes, we can pump up the damage from this with spell damage and make a rolling fireball of doom, but I'm not sure that's really worthy of meme status, and it relies on our opponent having a sizable board. I can't give this meme deck worthy status. So rolling fireball rolls its way through the upcoming meta decks, but fizzles out before making it into the memes. Would you like a 4/4 body with your discounted Luna's Pocket Galaxy? Or would you like to Pyroblast your opponent's face for just 6 mana and summon a 4/4 for your troubles? Well, Dragoncaster is here to help. She's a 6 mana 4/4 with a battle cry that if you're holding a dragon, your next spell this turn costs 0. If you use the Elemental Allies card we covered a moment ago to draw Pyroblasts from your deck, you could reliably blast your opponent's face on turn 6 in a lot of your games. A big spell Dragon Mage will definitely want to use this in the future meta. As for memes, discounting cards like this card does is the bread and butter of meme decks. We'll definitely figure out some fun meme experiments to run with this deck. Dragoncaster casts highly effective spells in the new meta and memes. And the last card for this review is Mana Giant. It's an 8 mana 8/8 that costs 1 less for each card you've played this game that didn't start in your deck. So Arcane Breath, Violent Spellwing, and Malygos Aspect of Magic are all synergy cards from this set alone. Together in a mana Cyclone deck, this can get down to almost 0 mana pretty consistently. Perhaps this joins Mountain Giant in a revived version of Conjurer's Calling Mage? I'm not sure, but if a mana Cyclone deck does make its way into the meta, this will be a great inclusion. I'm just not sure if it's reliable enough to get out to earn a slot in the upcoming meta decks. I'm actually scared he won't be discounted enough, often enough, to stick around after the initial experiments are complete. But I'll go ahead and give Mana Giant an optimistic meta later status. As for memes, our Raid the Sky Temple deck will always be able to get this guy out for 0 mana, if we actually stay alive that long. And yes, we'll run a Raid the Sky Temple version with Conjurer's Calling for good measure, so let the meme times roll. Mana Giant will barely smash into the future meta, but he will be a giant contribution to our meme decks. And that's all the remaining cards from Druid, Hunter, and Mage for Descent of Dragons. Check out earlier reviews if you want to see one of the minions from these classes not covered this time. Remember, this is a subjective review, but I'm making some pretty direct predictions. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you've been looking forward to, and if you have any crazy meme deck ideas you'd like to see. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and check back for future reviews coming soon. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep exploring. Like Treants? Hero power. Small minion mage. Maybe?